What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Life Behind the Badge. I'm Travis Adams, and I'm back here with Brandon Lovett, and we're here with Jason Hanley at On Point K9 Academy and Alpha Pet Boarding.
Yeah, we've been looking forward to having Jason on here since we got this podcast off the ground. He's been a huge asset to us, both Travis and I, with this podcast. He was quick to want to help and do what he needed to do to try to get us going. We appreciate that. Also, on a professional level, we've been dealing with Jason for years. He's always been a huge asset to our department and always willing to lend a helping hand anytime that he can. So we're glad to have him on. We've been looking forward to this.
Absolutely. We're super excited to get this going. Before we get too far into it, we'd like to thank our sponsors, and very fitting since we're here at his place and we've got him on today, but we'll go ahead and give a special thanks to Jason Hanley and the On Point K9 Academy and Alpha Pet Boarding, as well as Sullivan Construction, and we appreciate their support and them helping us get this thing up off the ground and getting it rolling.
Yep. Jason, before we get too far in the weeds and get really rolling, is there anybody you'd like to thank initially before we get going?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank you guys for the invite and what you do here and on the streets. You know, that's a lot of the reason why I do what I do. So, but to thank people, you know, the local support that I've had since I moved up here has been unmatched. I mean, between Chief Tabor, you know, who has just went out of his way, constantly sponsoring, you know, trophies for our seminar and stuff.
Yeah.
Sheriff Ford, who, you know, just recently gave up his own, you know, vehicle to get Jeremy and Sully back on the road. It just shows that kind of leadership, you know, you want to be involved with something like that.
Yeah, we're lucky when it comes to the leadership standpoint. For those of you that don't know, when he mentions Jeremy and Sully's a K9, and Tabor is our K9 officer. He's also a sergeant with the sheriff's office, so that's what he was talking about.
Yeah, we had some. He was just a hit on that. You know, we had some vehicle issues. Every department has them, and we had Sully off the road for a little bit, and the sheriff stepped up, you know, and gave up his vehicle so we could get Sully back on the road.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, shout out to him and to Jason and Jeremy for being a big advocate for our K9 unit and our K9 program.
Yeah, it's huge. Jason, we'll just kind of jump right in. Do you want to start off by maybe sharing a little bit about how you got to be to Kentucky, kind of your upbringing and where it all started?
How I got here.
Yeah, take it from the top.
I grew up in a little town up in Indiana, between Indianapolis and Dayton. Centerville, Indiana is where I grew up and went to high school at. And while I lived there, when I was a little kid, my dad used to take me up to my uncle's on the weekends to help him on his farm, and he had German Shepherds, a couple of beautiful dogs, one named Major and one named Sarge, that I remember, and I just thought they were, you know, beautiful animals. And right before I started fourth grade, he happened to have a litter of puppies and gave me one, and so that kind of, you know, got me interested in the breed. She was a mixed breed, nothing special. And then, so when I got out of high school, I bought my first German Shepherd from a local canine handler in Richmond. And I was messing around with him in the backyard, getting him to jump over the fence and tick off my neighbors and stuff like that, and climb a ladder. And so I got a hold of the guy that I bought the dog from, and I said, where do these dogs get trained at? And he gave me three names, and lo and behold, I ended up getting a hold of Gene England, and this was when he was over in Bowling Green off Cemetery Road. This was in '95. So I got my start there. I went through his class in '95. It was an 8-week handler program. I'm a civilian, so the other places weren't, you know, they didn't really want to deal with me. So, but luckily I ended up where I was, and so went through Gene's class in '95, and then in '98, I moved to Arizona. When I was in Arizona, I got involved in a dog sport called Schutzen, which is it's a breed, basically a breed survey or a breed test, so that the dogs can be bred.
Yeah.
So when I got into Schutzen, I joined a club and titled a few dogs. Met a really good friend of mine out there named Joel Anderson, who is still a big part of my life. But Joel was an officer from Mesa PD out there, and so I got to kind of dabble, you know, working with him and his dog kind of on the side or whatever, and really piqued my interest in the police dogs. So after I left Arizona, moved to Tennessee in about, I think it was '08, And when I moved to Tennessee, I met a couple guys down there that were pretty influential with me. Craig Capps, he's a state trooper now in Tennessee. I met Craig and another guy named Corey Knowles, and they kind of got my foot in the door with, the law enforcement side of it. Again, being a civilian, they kind of, you know how that goes. And, and I get it, but was lucky. Got my foot in the door down there with those guys, and then this opportunity become available. And it was always a goal of mine, to come back where I started. But so a lot of people don't realize, how much it meant to me, this opportunity. One of the biggest highlights of my career was when I sold the dog, Nico, to the sheriff's department and got to work with Jake, and then sold the dog Morgan to the Scottsville PD and got to work with Trevor. And, I've worked around a lot of different places, and those two guys, it was great. They're just go-getters.
Yeah, they are. They're both of them.
You couldn't ask for.
We're actually pretty tight with Nico.
With Nico?
Yeah, me and Travis both have a collective issue with that dog. We were both bit by him.
I wasn't there when you got it, but I was.
I
was at the SWAT
he left his
training.
mark on us for sure. In more ways than one,
Literally.
That was a super good dog. It's a great working dog. Just super aggressive and out of all the stuff, I'll take the bite on the arm. After all with all the other stuff we got from that dog, it's worth it.
But that was a big deal. It was kind of a lifelong dream to get involved with you guys up here where Gene had been for so many years. So.
Yeah.
Were those some of the first two dogs you put on the road?
No,
patrol-wise, or?
No. I really got in, like I said, to the police side in 2008. I sold my first dog was Inglewood. I think it was Inglewood, Tennessee. It was a small town. And then kind of went there, Van Buren County, Tennessee, Sparta, Fentress County, Macon County. I don't have them all wrote down, but they were a little bit, further down the road.
Yeah.
But
I think a lot of people is going to find this, not to get off topic, but I think a lot of people, residents of Allen County, will find this interesting because a lot of people drive by here every day and see Alpha Pet Boarding, but they really don't know the full scope of what you actually do, and what you actually put out for the community and for other communities, all over the United States. So I've been looking forward to this for a pretty good while, just to share that portion. You see Alpha Pet Boarding, you assume you're just keep taking care of, sprinkles on a weekend while you go in the mountains, but you do.
We do. Right.
But you also dedicate yourself and a career to pushing out some of the best police dogs that I've been around. So.
And that's kind of the thing. I'm in a pretty good position. I've got Casey that's been working for me for the last 3 years. She pretty much runs Alpha. For about the last year, a good friend of mine, Dalton Light, has been down here, and he's pretty much taken over the police dog side of it. And I met Dalton when he was 12. His dad's an officer up in Indiana, and I've been training with them for the last 10 years. So he was just a little young man when he come down here. So it's kind of cool. Yeah. We've got it on our T-shirts. It says leaving a legacy, becoming a legend. And I always try to tell people that's not about me. The legacy is Casey and Dalton, and the legend is what they're going to become. So and that was the big thing with Randy and Gene.
Culture.
And just passing it on.
Yeah.
We've all got bills to pay, but they always told me, like with Randy Hare, one of probably the best detection trainer in the world. It was never about money, and that's kind of the things I try to carry on is it's about the dog, not the dollar.
Right.
And too many people, we've ran into situations recently where we had to we're going to have to probably send a dog back because one of our requirements is for the dog to pass X-rays. So this one didn't come back terrible, but didn't come back great. So there's negatives that come with it. People get bit. We just had a handler get bit out here yesterday and had to go to the hospital.
Part of the life.
It is. It is. Just like you guys getting hurt during training or on the road. It is part of it.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's the unfortunate reality of the line of work that we're all in. That's just a possibility that we're all aware of and essentially signed up for.
I know you got a lot of stuff you want to hit on, and we're not going to skip it. We'll come back to it, but just to take a break from some of your shout-outs and stuff, we'll get to everybody. But I've always been infatuated with the fact that I get to think about it. We're very spoiled because I see all these people coming and going that you and Dalton work with and stuff, and we've always had you in our backyard. So like, I'm like, where do people go for canine training? You know, if they weren't that, you know, we've been spoiled to have you right here in our canine units and handlers. They don't have to drive an hour away to go, and every canine incident we've been involved in or other incidents, you know, you've never hesitated. You've always been right there, and you know, I feel for other agencies that just don't have that luxury. You know, it's cool because we've had some immediate feedback on some real life incidents where you've been able to come in and kind of direct some training we may need based off our interaction with the canine. You know, so. It's been not only our canine unit has been good, but just having you as a resource to get better on the road and stuff, and better ways we can implement that canine.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that, you know, even you guys as officers, you know, and that's why I respected Gene and respect Randy so much. It's constantly evolving.
Yep.
You know, so the things I was doing or taught back in '95, you know, it's obsolete now, but it's just the same, you know, same reason why you guys go to in-service every year.
Things evolve and change. Yeah.
And that's the thing, like I like about, you know, Dalton bringing somebody in young that, you know, has got all these new ideas and stuff, because, you know, it seems like when when you think you know it all, you know, you realize you don't.
Yeah, that's right.
And
That's
I'm
exactly right.
big about, you know, I'll be honest with you from the beginning and tell you I know what I know and I know what I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, I couldn't go out there in your police car and, you know, start the lights and sirens or write a report. You know, it would be kind of chaotic. So,
No, I'm at the seminars in March usually, you know, just because I like seeing the way it works, and I feel like I can benefit just from watching you all train. I've never had a dog. I've never been a canine unit. I don't even have a dog at my house, and that's my wife's issue. I would. My wife.
We're trying to get
That's
We're trying
why
to
I
take
had
care
a
of-
kid. We couldn't have a dog.
Emily, get this man a dog.
Yeah.
we can take care of that.
But anyways, I've always been infatuated with not only the training but the seminar that goes on in March, and getting to see you guys, and I don't even know. I know all the faces that you're talking about, but I can't put a name with all of them. I think I've met Craig, and there's a guy down in Georgia I met a couple years ago who does some more like team tactics with a dog.
Right.
I can't remember his name, but some of these guys just ring a bell. And the guy from Mesa, he was here last year,
Yeah,
correct?
Joel come out for the 10-year, and you know that's what's pretty cool about that seminar. Craig Capps and I started that. It was actually 12 years ago. The first time we did it, we didn't hand out trophies. It was like, you know, a couple departments, I think Crossville, Tennessee, come down, and White County and a couple other Sparta City, stuff like that. But, you know, we started that, just kind of on the, you know, wing or whatever, and it has developed now to where we're having to cap how many people can come.
Yep.
We've got handlers and trainers and decoys. You know, decoys are the guys that wear the bite equipment and, you know, get sweaty and dirty and crawl spaces.
The crazy guys.
The crazy guys.
Crazy guys.
Yeah.
Kind of like a rodeo clown.
Yeah, exactly. They go out there when, you know,
Something wrong with those guys.
Yeah.
I'm a little scared of those guys. I'm
Yeah,
gonna stay away from
yeah,
them.
but something we started. Now we've got, you know, like you said, the guys from Georgia. You know, Sean Humphreys was one of the first ones.
Those
that
guys
out.
from Georgia, they're balls to the wall.
They
man.
are. They are. Sean and Sean O'Brien, Jeff Scott, Pete. Like I said, I don't want to, you know, leave anybody out. And then, you know, Dalton and I have both been, you know, lucky to have the resources that we've had. And even in the last year, and that's like we talk about, you know, never quitting learning. We had Jacob Jump and Chris Ritchie are a couple of the instructors that come from Indiana. And, you know, because I'm the first one that'll tell you, like I said, I know what I know and I know what I don't know. I'm not going to try to teach you guys tactics. I've never been through the academy. I can teach you how to handle a dog and what to look for. But, you know, with something as serious as, you know, entering a house going after some crazy killer, I'm not going to put your guys' life on the line and act like I know what I don't. So that's why we do the seminar, and that's why we have these guys come down. You know, we did a decoy seminar. I can't remember when it was. It was after the other seminar, but Mark Boggs, a guy out of Missouri, I believe it's Missouri or Southern Illinois. Okay. He's out of Southern Illinois.
Close enough.
Yeah, it was close. But Mark, you know, come and taught a class for a bunch of the local guys and out-of-staters. You know, we had people come from 2 or 3 different states to learn how to safely decoy. Because a lot of people think you just put on the equipment and throw dogs around, and you can really hurt, you know, then break teeth, jam a neck, hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And so it's, you know, there's an art to it. It's not just, you know, throwing on the equipment and let's see what happens.
That seminar, just to talk about it a little bit, it's not uncommon when that time of year comes that we get questions all the time. Like, we're liable to walk into a store somewhere and be like, why is all these cop cars sitting out on 231? So
Yeah.
that's your answer. The reason why all those cop cars are out on 231 for several days is because of the seminar that Jason puts on, and there's guys from all over the place. So it's neat. It's neat to watch.
What's some of the furthest people away for your seminar? I guess Joel from Mesa, maybe.
Joel from Arizona. We had
You said Mesa. Am I right on that? Am I
yeah,
quoting right?
Arizona. Yeah, what I would call the East Valley, east of
Yeah.
Phoenix. I lived out there for about 10 years, and he and I become pretty tight. And then we have them as far, like you said, south as the guys from Atlanta. Jacob and Chris have a group out of southern Indiana. We pull them from Yancey County, North Carolina, some of our favorite
Yeah, they
people.
usually bring a big crowd, don't they?
Yeah. And
Some good guys.
that's the cool thing about it is, you've got the big departments like Lawrenceville with all the toys,
Yeah.
and then you've got people that are lucky to have, a
Yeah.
car that runs. So
Yeah.
they all help each other, and, we just, that's what I like.
I know just me and Jake's worked together a lot over the years, but just talking to him before and after those seminars through the years, I've always thought it's pretty amazing the network that's been established through this seminar that he's used, and that's still used to this day. A lot of those guys stay in touch even after that seminar, and they're bouncing stuff off each other. It's neat to see. I think that's a good avenue too.
Yeah, we've had cases solved. There was burglaries going on in Indiana, and they were crossing crossing the state line into Kentucky. And somebody, I think it was Gil Marksberry, one of the guys that comes down, he had posted something about some burglaries going on. And another officer, over in Indiana, I think it was Josh Cady, was like, hey, we've got something similar going on. They started comparing notes, and they got them. So,
Yeah,
but like you said, the networking, I mean, people, we call each other all the time. And, that's something cool that I'm, glad that I've been able to give, to Dalton, is the connections.
Yeah.
If we've got an issue, we're lucky. I can call Randy up,
Right.
and he's, like I said, known all over the nation, if not the world. So
I think that's great because when you start talking percentages, like you've got the general population, and you narrow it down to just police. Well, the percentage-wise, the police comparison to the general population is pretty small, and then you narrow it down even a step further when you get into that realm of canine. So for you guys to be able to network and have that available and be a pretty tight-knit group, that's good stuff.
it is
Pretty cool.
It is.
That's a small family in the big picture.
It is.
Going back and talking about like how we have you as a resource, and I'm sure, I know everybody can't have you in their backyard, but what do you do for other agencies, that you put canines out to and you're training their handlers? I mean, I'm sure you're just a phone call away usually.
Yeah, exactly. We can't always jump up and go to them, but that's one of the things we offer when we sell a dog is lifetime maintenance. And a lot of people charge for that, but I want to make sure that the dogs, when they leave here, we've got them, where we want them. Maintaining them like that can be hard if you don't have the resources.
Right.
So we always offer, they can come back anytime, and it's free. So, like you said, we're just kind of a phone call away.
Yeah, coming from both Travis and I can speak on this. Coming from a supervision standpoint at a department that's had 2 of his dogs now, and we're really close with a 3rd one with our city police department. You're not going to go wrong if you're seeing this and you're in the market for something like that. Just contact him, and he'll put you where you need to be.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Let's get into some of your work with the dogs. We'll get back to, I know you want to give some shout outs and answer some questions, but let's dive a little deeper into that. I know we're not going to give up tactics and all that and get too deep. You just talk as much as you're comfortable with, but kind of what do you do on a daily basis? You and Dalton, I know Dalton does, and Dalton and Casey are in our audience.
Yeah, they're here.
This is the first time we've had a live audience, so if we're a little nervous, that's why we've got a big crowd here today. So Dalton actually does a lot of work. If you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Dalton's doing quite a bit of work with the canines and their handlers along with you. Can you talk a little bit about on a daily basis what that looks like with your classes and stuff?
Well, again, it goes kind of back to like you guys going to the academy. You kind of learn the basics, but you really don't start become the police till you hit the road.
Right.
Windshield time. So we try to do some of the training beforehand so that we don't have to, because that's the thing, everybody's down manpower, can't be gone that long or whatever. So a lot of our training, we start by ourselves to make sure the dog is going to be able to do what we need to do.
Right.
And it was funny. I started going through some notes about, what Gene taught me and what Randy taught me. And in like 95, when I went through Gene's class, he had this poster up on the wall, and it said, limit the options: avoid, submit, flight, or fight. And that has to do with the tables that you just recently made for us, you and your friend. So so in 95, I was taught, limit the options: submit, avoid, flight, fight. You put the dog up on a table, you come out from the doors, the fatal funnel. We teach the dog to be suspicious of the door from the very beginning. But that's manipulating the environment. The dog can't go anywhere.
Right.
You're dealing with an animal that doesn't understand English.
Right.
The best comparison I can have is if you guys have ever read the book about Helen Keller. That teacher was dealing with a woman that couldn't see or speak or something, and so you're having to get a dog to do different tasks just by using things that they want: food, a toy, praise, or whatever. So it was interesting. Gene taught that to me with the tables in 95, and then when I met Randy, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago at least, he taught the same thing. Manipulate the environment to make the dog successful. We do that with the rack and the way we have things set up to teach the imprinting on the dope odor or whatever. So, but it's the same thing. It's kind of like when we went to school, in kindergarten or whatever, you sat down, you had a chalkboard in front of you. Well, the chalkboard is kind of the rack. And that's where we teach the dog to concentrate, go to the target odor, and get paid. So both systems, for Gene and Randy was all about manipulating the environment to make the dog successful without us putting our hands on it. It's kind of like, if I want you to follow me, but you don't speak English, and I grab you by the shirt and try to pull you, what's your first reaction going to be? To pull away.
Yeah.
So you've got, and that's the problem. Once you put your hands on the dog and try to force stuff, we go into conflict. So we have to try to use, different things that the dog wants to get it where we want without physically putting it there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But, and I tell people a lot of times, I think I was really blessed to be, taught by Gene the tracking and the patrol work, and then, picked up the narcotics detection from Randy and kind of made my own stew or whatever. So been very lucky, very blessed.
That combination is exactly what you look for in a police dog. So, being able to translate that into what works for you and make it successful is impressive.
And I think that's one of the questions we even had from one of your viewers or whatever was, when do we start with the dog and different stuff like that. Breeders that are, breeding dogs to come to us, they start with them very young, socializing them. The dogs have got to be environmentally solid. They got to be okay on slick floors in schools, staircases, especially staircases that you can see through, loud noises and stuff like that. So they kind of do all the imprinting with the dogs. We don't buy them until they're at least a year old. We wait till they're a year old, so we have got an idea of what their characteristics are like, their temperament, their drives, and we've also got to be able to x-ray them. You can't get, they've got to be at least a year. They really prefer, a little bit older, but like with the dogs, we mainly get them from Slovakia. Right now we've got a vendor out of Slovakia and one out of Mexico, and before they come over, they've got to go through that, pretty vigorous health test.
Basically like them passing a physical standard.
Exactly.
Sure they're up and up, bone
and that's one of the reasons why we don't deal with a lot of puppies. I don't like, breeding and having litters, because the ones that don't make it, you've got to find homes for them, and they end up in these shelters being euthanized. And so I'd rather spend the extra money. And the other thing is, you start off with a puppy and you work with it for a year and it's looking really good, and then you find out the hips are bad.
Right.
Or, it's got an issue somewhere, and we've wasted all that time where, we could be working with something that was a little more proven.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
I think it's awesome. When we get these dogs out and we get them on the road, for us, it's almost like getting another officer on the road. So, and I don't know if you're in the police business and you get another unit on the road, it's a good feeling, when you get some help out there. And it's been the same way, when we've got a dog on the road. And actually, we've two different departments here in Allen County. You've got the city of Scottsville and Allen County, but we work so closely. So we've seen a few dogs come and go, and it's been great when either department gets a fresh dog on the road. It's almost like a fresh start. And then Jason always does a super good job of keeping up, and with social media stuff, we put out some of our arrests and stuff, and anything dope related with our dogs and stuff, or apprehension. Jason's the first one to give us a pat on the back and reach out, and if not that, maybe give us some resources to do things a different way or a better way. And as we go into that, your training, when we train, we have to stay up and up on case law and stuff, and it kind of affects the way we train and stuff. I'm assuming that's similar with the dogs and stuff. I'm sure, I know you're a civilian and all, but you train these animals to work in a law enforcement environment, so I'm sure you have to stay up and up, on the legal studies and stuff too. People don't think about that as much, but it's a constant educational thing for us. I'm sure it's the same way for you.
Yeah, exactly, and it's constantly changing, and that's exactly why I've got Dalton here. He's more into the he helps. I always say what I thought were my two weak areas was case law and hard surface tracking, and that happens to be two things that he's interested in and stays up on. And that's, we try to cover as much as we can, but you guys know, case law and different things like it changes county to county, state to state. So we try to, give everybody, a foundation.
It's good to have a nerd around.
Exactly.
That's
So,
right.
Yeah, exactly.
It pays off. We try to keep a few around the office, keep us in line.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. Well, do you want to try to roll through a couple of these questions that he posted?
Yeah, go ahead. I can't remember.
There's one. Let's see. I think you probably answered a couple. This one's a pretty good one. As far as the lifespan or working career of a canine dog, what would you say the average is?
Depending on, obviously, you've got the two different kind of categories. You've got single-purpose dogs, which could be a lab, a shepherd, or a Malinois, and all they do is search for, narcotics. Their life span can be, or their, career can be a little bit longer. A lot of these dogs, and that's the thing too, is everybody wants, all the departments want as much, time with them as they can. But even though when we get them at a year and they can pass their x-rays and stuff, they really don't mature until, they're about 2 or whatever. And I always compare that, you were a baseball coach, and if you kind of compare, well, I would use football. If you use, a football analogy, we go down here to the high school, there's kids and they're 6'2", 250, bigger boys, 6 foot, and 200 pounds. And they're the same stats as the pros, but you take one of them and put them out there, against, the Detroit Lions are going to get smeared.
Right.
So, and then dual purpose dogs, they find the narcotics and do the tracking and the apprehension. And so I would have to say in general 8 years, if you get them on, good and on the road by 2, by the time they're 10, it's time to step down.
Step down.
Yeah. That's pretty good length though.
Yeah.
And it can go longer or shorter depending on, and just like a football player, injuries or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Never know what you're going to get into.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting and also from a business standpoint, if you transition it into that aspect, it's not a bad investment. If you're getting 7-8 years, that's a pretty substantial time frame when you think about day to day and how many times a canine officer can deploy that dog.
And that's always been one of my things with the dog. They can pay for them, in the right area, and obviously it depends on your population, highways and stuff like that. But the dog, within the first year should be able to almost pay for itself. If, you've got somebody like Trevor and Jake and Jeremy that's out there, hustling. The canine program can make you money.
Sure.
We're going to seize cars. We're going to seize money
That's
and
right.
assets like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. Another good question he asked is, are there certain dog bloodlines or breeding programs that you prefer over others? And you kind of touched on that a second ago as far as where you're getting some of your dogs from.
Right.
And he said, if so, is it because of the dog's nose or smelling ability, lung capacity, training ability, or the personality? I guess he's just asking kind of what determines, I guess, what would be the benefits of whatever bloodline you prefer.
Right. We're looking for all that.
Right.
To make it short. Yeah, and so there's not a pedigree or bloodline. Some people base a lot of their things on that.
Yeah.
We've got and some of the dogs that we bring out of Mexico, they're going to hand you a pedigree, but it's probably
Right.
not and that's the thing about it. That's why we get our dogs from, I hate to say it, but from like Slovakia. It's an industry to them. They're not pushing out, sissies
A little
or
bit
whatever.
higher standard.
If they don't make it, they do what they got to do with them.
Right.
Us here
So
in the
you're
States.
you're not pushing a bad product off to another department.
Right.
No, because it's kind of like with you guys. You can do 100 things good, but you do one bad, and what do they focus on?
Yeah,
So,
the one bad one.
yeah.
Now, I think mostly we've all worked with Miles. Was James Dean's dog?
His was a shepherd.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Tabbert had Tabbert and Nick Tabbert, who is still with us, and James Dean, he's part of the task force unit. Both of those guys, I'm pretty sure, unless my mind's wrong, both had the last shepherds that were trained under Gene.
Yep. I think you're right.
And then since then, they've been Malinois trained through you.
Right. And I'm a shepherd guy. That's what I've got, behind us in the office area or whatever. So I started off, with shepherds. But when I really got into the police dog side of it, a lot of people were like, well, if you want to sell police dogs, you're going to have to start selling Malinois or you're not going to do it. And I was like,
A
well,
little different attitudes.
it is. They always joke and say, a Malinois is a shepherd on crack. They're just, high strung.
I agree.
They're a little bit smaller, so they don't, develop the hip issues and joint issues as much, as the shepherds. But I'm a shepherd guy, and
I like a shepherd too.
Yeah, I didn't work a lot with James. James Dean's dog was still on the road when I was here, but I didn't get a lot of work with it. But as far as Trevor and Jake and Jeremy's dogs, I haven't worked with Nova a whole lot yet. But man, we put those dogs, and people think when we get these dogs out, we're running around a car for dope. But we use them quite a bit for tracking. I mean, Trevor had his dog out. We had an incident the other day, a pretty significant incident last week, and Trevor had his dog out, and that dog gets out, man. They're looking for work. They're ready to go. I want to find the bad guy. I want to find the bad guy. You can see it in their face. Chomping at the bit. But I like watching them work, man. Those mouths, man, they get out, and like you said, they look like they're on crack, man. They're
ready to
for
go.
lack of a better term there. I'm sorry if you're offended, but they're fun to watch.
Yeah, they are. They're athletes.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Whenever Jake first got Nico, and I think he was still going through a handler course, but he was riding around with him some. He'd get him out the office. Me and him were both on nights, and a lot of these people haven't been in the sheriff's office, but there's a retaining wall that goes around that parking lot beside Wood Street there, and that was the first real interaction I'd ever had with a Malinois as far as being around them, seeing them, watching them run, and he'd let Nico out to run, and I said, that dog is on the move all the time, like it's constantly fast. He said, yeah, and he said, you think it'll clear that retaining wall? And I said, I don't know. So he said, we'll try it. So anyway, he gets up there, and the dog cleared a spot probably from the curb in the parking lot to the top. The retaining wall's probably 4 foot, I'd say 4, maybe a little over.
Probably gets a little higher in some spots.
Yeah, and so from the wall, there's a little bit of grass area and then a curb. I'd say it's probably a good 7-8 feet, from the curb. That dog cleared that like it wasn't no problem, and that's when I was like, man, that's pretty
They are
impressive.
impressive.
Yeah.
And kind of like you said, it's awesome watching the bite work, but I think one of the most successful things that, Dalton and I do is sometimes is when we're introducing the dog, to the narcotics odor, and you see it go down there, or if we, transfer to the outside, and you cue the dog, and you see it go to work, and you see it catch odor, and you see that head snap, and it's like, wow, we did it. We've made that, the Helen Keller connection.
Guys like us that's worked a lot with those canine guys, me and him and some others, you can, like if we're on a traffic stop and that handler's got that dog out and they're working that vehicle, like we know when they're in that odor, because you can tell it.
Yeah, Nico and Sully, they do a good job as far as the dope detection and stuff. And I worked with Nico. I think we all work with Nico a lot more just because we haven't had Sully around as much yet. But I mean, I could sit back in my car and just watch. I may be standing there with a suspect, and I'm like, "Yep,
we got him.
We got you. You're toast."
You're about to go
and
in
it was, I don't ever remember any,
that dog didn't miss.
where it, when it hit, we found dope.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't.
Or they would admit that they had it in there. That's the thing.
Yeah.
The dogs can't really discriminate. I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
Right.
But if somebody has just dropped off a load of whatever, wherever, and they leave and, you stop them pretty quick, they're leaving a known dope house, the dog, might show a lot of interest because that odor is
Still in
still
the
permeated the vehicle.
Some of those dogs are so good too. Like even the suspect sees it and they're like,
I'm hit.
he's like, I got it in my pocket.
Yeah.
I got it in my pocket.
Yeah.
They just start talking immediately, and
Yeah.
that the dog's a great resource.
It is. I enjoy seeing their face whenever they're trying to give you a hard time, and then one of those K9 guys pull up and they bring the dog out. And
Changes.
Then reality sets in a little bit. Then it's like,
And that's the thing with the dog, I have a lot of chiefs and sheriffs who are like, oh, I don't know if I want the liability of they call it a bite dog, and I try to tell them, I'm like, if it's got teeth, it'll bite.
It'll bite.
There was a study, I can't remember, Cocker Spaniels were, notorious for biting people, but it never got reported, so they didn't get the black eye like, the police dogs or pits or whatever, but I'll tell the sheriff or the chief, I'll be like, to me it comes down to this. Would you rather bury a dog or an officer?
right.
And they get quiet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because that, I've never had one that I know of shot and killed in the line of duty. But who knows how many officers we've saved. You go up to the front door, you give your warning, they give up. That's what we want,
Yeah, I'm gonna get too deep into it, but we had the incident we had last week. Was kind of turning towards that, and we had a dog there, and they know their job, and the handler knows their job, and that situation could have presented itself. Luckily, it didn't, and but that's a great point.
And sometimes, you can't get, CO2 gas or a flashbang in there. And if there's, a victim in there possibly bleeding to death, and we've got to send the dog in, it takes the shot, but we know where the bad guy's at. And like I said, I say the dogs are replaceable. They're not expendable. I think kind of like your situation last week, the reason why he wasn't used was because we thought the guy might have been armed.
Yep.
And so, it's like taking a knife to a gunfight. We don't want to put the dog in a situation where it can't win unless we have to.
Right. Right.
And that happens.
Yeah, when it comes time to start making decisions about what we're going to do to try to safely de-escalate something, I'm always thankful to know that we've got that option in our pocket.
Yeah, or we get we get a squirter out of the house, man, and we've got that dog or dogs on scene now, and we're not to sound selfish, but we're not, like you said, we're not having to put ourselves in danger, and we have solid dogs that can apprehend those suspects, while we're able to stay safe, and it's just a peace of mind for us when we're in a situation like that.
Well, and that's the thing. It's not always about the dog, getting shot, but you guys go in there and start wrestling somebody, blow your knee out, blow your back out. It can be career ending, or you can, you're looking at workman's comp claims and being off duty for a while.
And on the lighter side, it's just fun to watch. There's something good about watching a dog get a bad guy. I don't care what anybody says. That's fun to see.
It's not bad.
No, and that's kind of the thing. We normally try to say we're not going to bite misdemeanors or juveniles.
Right. Yeah.
But other than that, if you get bit, more than likely you deserved it.
That's
So
right.
Absolutely.
I don't like seeing people get hurt, but I firmly believe in the good guys go home.
Well, and two, let's just say that there is a time where somebody gets bit. There's a good chance that bad guy's going to tell another bad guy that story, and so that story is going to be in the other bad guy's head the next time he gets pulled over too. So it kind of starts a ripple effect of
reputation.
Yeah,
just like in high school, you punch one guy in the nose, everybody thinks.
Yeah.
But if you think word doesn't travel around the jail, Nico had a reputation. Trevor Morgan's had a couple, street apprehensions, I believe, and
he has.
Sully,
I've seen 'em.
Sully will get there.
Sully
pretty
will
soon.
get one. Yeah.
Jeremy and Sully are definitely,
That dog won't
10-8.
have no choice with Tabor handling. That dog's gonna get into something.
Yeah.
I think those dogs, not that Jake can jump over a 4-foot wall or anything, but the handlers, you can see their attitudes and their their characteristics reflected into those dogs. Jake's always bouncing off the wall, 100 mile an hour.
He's a go-getter,
squirrel kind of guy.
Yeah, he's a
and
go-getter.
Nico was the same way. It was. I know Nico. If we were in a pursuit or something high speed,
They get fired up.
and Jake's hollering at me or calling me. You can hear that dog literally spinning circles in the cage back there, ready to go to work
And barking.
They know when stuff's happening. Like those sirens go on, or one of us get amped up. They perk up like that, and it's crazy how in tune they are, and adapt to
to the road and what we're doing and how they tune into it.
Yeah. It's neat.
And that was one thing that, Gene was always big and good about. And we try to give guys options when we can if we see that, another dog would work better for them, like you say, because that's a, 8-10 year bond that they're going to have to work with. So if dogs are just like people, just like you probably work better with certain guys, on, at the department. It's nothing against anybody, but, it's just.
Some personalities just match better than others.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's true. I agree.
Yeah, that was Nico was fun.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was, man. He
Yeah.
was
And those that don't know, we lost Nico. When was it? Was it last year?
2 years.
2 years ago.
2 years
In
already.
October or something. Yeah. Yeah.
Nico had a reaction to a operation he was having or something, and we kind of lost him at that time. But Nico, man, we got to see some fun stuff with Nico, and he was a very good working dog.
Yeah, he was solid.
As far as I know, this is the first time that the county's ever had, 3 dual-purpose dogs, working the street. Adam Morgan with Nova's getting ready to go through a class that starts here on Monday that Dalton will be teaching. So, like I said, to carry on, Gene's legacy and have,
That's
that
going to be
many
pretty
dogs.
neat. I don't know. I don't know. You'd probably be hard pressed to say that you've had a handler come in here with more experience than Adam too.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
Right.
going to be fun.
It is, it
Adam,
is.
worked 20 years with the state, plus, as a supervisor for a long period of time, detective, and worked the road, and he's going to have a lot of experience to bring to the table.
I'm excited.
He's
I'm
well
excited.
established. Yeah, he's one of those guys too that a fella can learn a thing or two from. We do.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
excited to
we
see
learn
him
a
go
lot from
through
him.
it. I enjoyed watching Tabor go through it. I always enjoyed watching Jake train. And I think Adam will be fun, get him out and get that dog on the road. They're going to be fun to watch.
He hasn't been able to. Nova's still here because of the weather. They haven't been able to move the kennel to his house. But since they selected him, he's been here every day and picked the dog up and
He
just
comes
taken
in. He comes in the mornings. We kind of have we call it briefing in the morning at our squad room. We have a little round table discussion usually, and we solve the world's problems and all that. And
Usually
drink
over
our
a cup of coffee or something.
But Adam's coming in pumped up every morning, and he's like, "I'm out. I'm going to train."
Yeah.
So he's pumped up. I know he is.
Yeah, Scottsville Police is going to have, and they know this, but they're going to have a solid unit in that for sure.
Absolutely.
I was surprised that that's like the one of the only things that he never got to do, in his career, and wanted it, really bad. I know when he was, with KSP, he was like next in line, I think, to have gotten a dog. A good friend of mine, while we're talking about it, David Hall with the Kentucky State Police. He and I've been friends for a couple years now. And he got my name through Dustin Vance, had referred him to me for some problem solving or whatever. And David and I got to be pretty good friends. We are pretty good friends. And I won't get on the religion subject too much, but that was about 2 years ago, and kind of brought God into my life and changed some things for me. And it's one of those, I think, I've relaxed more in the last 2 years.
Hey, there's probably not going to be anything more important we could talk about on here than that.
No, I agree. Yeah.
And once because you beat yourself up trying to, advertise and, impress the right people.
Yeah.
And once you realize it's in God's hands,
That's right.
Peace of mind.
I'm just trying to follow,
Yeah.
follow his lead.
That's
So
awesome.
It
That's
is.
awesome,
It is.
man.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
It
that's about the best information anybody could probably take from the whole deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's and Adam is getting ready. They start that class. Have they already
Monday.
started?
Monday.
Start
Monday.
Monday.
February
10-week
5th.
course?
It's 8. We're hoping we'll be done. The way we normally try to set it up is that they get to certify at the seminar, and that's how it ends.
That's
for
the way
them. So-
Jeremy did it, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Jake
exactly. We get all their training and stuff done, and then it's just kind of a bonus,
Yeah.
to get to go through that seminar and do a lot of, real world scenarios. It's like I said, we start off with the foundation, being in a setting where the dog can learn, and then we start adding, distractions. And that was another one of those sayings that Gene taught us all was, I think it was, through distractions, you learn to concentrate. Through concentration, you become successful. And through success, you gain confidence.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much, what the seminar's about. I mean, I don't know if you guys were out there at the tornado shelter last year or not, but those guys from Georgia, they turned it into a carnival.
That was a heck
Yeah.
of a scenario.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've
you
seen
know,
that one.
smoke-filled room,
Dark.
sirens going off, and I mean, it was
Pitch black.
But
Yeah.
that's,
I know we come out to the seminar and we see some of these scenarios and start going through with some of these guys. And Jason always, you've always been big about getting our guys and running out through, these scenarios with our handler and our canine unit. And I get out there and I'm like, surely not. Where did you get this scenario? Like, this ain't real. Who's up in a tree that high? Last year there was one for a
Up in
tree.
the
and,
deer stand
and,
or-
they start telling stories about these real life scenarios that put this stuff in place. So it's pretty cool.
it is.
Stuff
It
you
is.
don't think about.
Yep.
Ever evolving.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. Well, do you have anything else? You got
No, I'd like to hear some more stories. I don't know if you got any cool stories you want to tell or anything you're.
not to put you on the spot or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah,
But you're on
I
the
don't.
spot.
I don't know how deep I can get into some of our stories, but I know there's probably several cases that are closed that we're probably public knowledge that we're open to talk about. But we're not going to sit on here and give away our tactics and stuff like that. But
I'll say this: I watched Jake's dog, and I'm sure this case is closed. But guy that always runs anytime you deal with him, and it was actually Trevor and Jake. Trevor was on his way home or at home or something, and anyway, he sees this guy. Jake and I were both working. It was like a Saturday or Sunday morning. Trevor calls Jake. Jake beelines it out there. I'm a few seconds behind, and as I pull up, Jake's already got out, let the dog go, and dog's on this guy. And this guy's wearing a brand new leather jacket, like a Harley jacket, brand new. And he'd got a pretty good ways off. Nico got him, whatever. They brought him back up to the road, and they called EMS because he'd been dog bit, of course. And when EMS gets there, the only thing he was handcuffed, and he had that jacket on. The only thing they had to do to take that jacket off of him was make one cut with a pair of medical scissors. And the
He
jacket
about tore it off
and
of
the
him.
jacket hit the ground.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
demolished a leather jacket.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking a little cheap leather jacket. It looked like a motorcycle jacket. you
Right,
know. He
right.
shredded it.
Well, and that's the thing, about the dog in a lot of situations like that, where during the winter, because the dog's non-lethal force,
Right.
is what we hope for.
Yep.
So he's non-lethal force, so he's able to be used anytime you'd be able to use your taser
Right.
or
An
ASP or whatever else.
intermediate weapon.
Right. So, we don't train the dogs to go through the throat or kill, anybody, like that. But, we try to train them to go in and grab whatever they can and, pull the suspect out. But, the non-lethal force, again, we kind of go back to not sending the dog into a gunfight. You kind of
Right.
want to be a little picky about where you put them. But, and it's kind of like you guys as officers, as far as I know, you don't shoot to kill. You shoot to stop the threat.
Correct.
Correct.
Yep.
So it's kind of the same thing with the dog. We're not trying to kill anybody, but we're trying to keep you guys and the public safe.
Right.
Yeah.
I know another scenario. I wasn't actually there, but I was monitoring on the radio. It was kind of late at night, and they called me and like, "Hey, we got this going on. We got this incident. We got a perimeter set up." I think it was we had a guy with several felony warrants or something, and they had a decent perimeter set up, and Jake was already out, and I knew Jake was out because my radio is about to blow up, and you can hear Jake coming through the radio. But
gets stoned
talking to him afterwards, Nico kept dragging him back to the same spot, and ended up apprehending a guy. He's hiding under a pile of leaves pretty much and a bunch of garbage, tin and stuff behind an old trailer. But it's just, those dogs are, and we want to there's so many times I've seen where nah, surely not, that ain't. And if you trust that dog enough and you keep going back to what the dog's going, more than likely, we're going to find something. And I've seen that happen a lot. That dog keeps going back to one spot,
And I think that's one of the things that like Randy preaches to us. If we've got a dog in the room, he'll be like, "There's only one expert in here, and it's
Yeah.
the dog." And
Yeah.
and too many times, different styles of training, you're trying to direct the dog and get him to where you think it might be, but it's not.
Right.
Just like we used to be really, really big about when we were stopping a car, the handler would get the dog out, walk up the ditch line, start at the driver's headlight, work its way around, and then flip the other way. But how many times have you guys pulled somebody over, and as you've stopped them, they've thrown, dope or something out the window?
Today.
So,
Yeah,
today,
Yeah.
literally. So, we teach them to be obedient to odor, not obedient to vehicles. Once we get them out of the car and give them the cue, you can start to walk up there because of safety and for court purposes, so you can always remember, how you did it that day. But as you're walking up to start your search, if that dog, starts to pull you towards the ditch line, you better follow him.
Right.
Yes, it might be a dead animal, but it also could be, an ounce of meth or heroin or something like that. So
It makes perfect sense.
it's how things have evolved. Some organizations are a little more, set on tactics and stuff like that. I'm talking as far as in the dope work. We pretty much give the dog a cue and let him go to work. Try to get him downwind of where we think it'll be, and let him work. But when you try, I won't name the organization, but you're doing anchor points, and you've got to try to get the dog to go to this corner and that corner, and it's like normally in like a room this size, we're going to fan the door, we're going to cut the dog loose and let him come, because these dogs, they can run 30 miles an hour. I know I can't keep up with that. So a lot of times we'll give them the cue, let them go into a room, obviously after we've done a safety check to make sure, there's no exposed drugs, needles or chains, something that the dog can get hurt on.
Right.
But we give them the cue and we let them go. They'll come in a room like this and pretty much, do that pattern on their own. And then if you see them, have a change of behavior or something like that, you kind of tell your backup officer, hey, remember this area. And then if they go through there and don't find something, then we can hook them on leash and do more of a directional if you need to. But, like you said, a lot of times, CIs, the information might not be
Spot on.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, they're saying he keeps it in under his couch and it's in a, coffee table or something like that.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate truth about relying on CI.
Yeah.
James Dean ever talked about his language with his dog?
Oh, I've just one command that I remember. Yeah, I teased him about.
He got fired up one night and forgot, his commands and stuff, and I don't know all the ins and outs. I'm not gonna pretend to use the buzzwords and stuff, but basically these dogs speak different language, German or whatever.
Right.
And, I guess James Dean got a little fired up that time, and I think sick him.
Sick 'em.
Yeah.
And that's funny. A lot of people, sick balls, chopper. It's funny. You can be taught, when I was competing in Schutzen, the rule was the dog was to be taught in the handler's, native tongue, which, was English for me. But a lot of these dogs we get from Slovakia and Mexico, they're already, responding to, either French or German or whatever. But so a lot of people make a bigger deal, what's his secret word or whatever. And it's like I tell handlers, don't be worried about the fancy stuff. You get him up to a car, they know what a traffic stop is. We could literally point to the car and say pickle, and he's going to search it. Same thing with James Dean. You get them out, you can tell them pancake, but when they know that, they're in that situation, you're patting them up and they're firing up, it don't matter.
Yeah,
they're ready to work.
It don't matter.
That makes sense. Perfect sense.
And we've got Trevor's actually French, and the other ones are German.
Yep.
Yeah. Like I said, the ones we get from Mexico are normally in French, and the ones from Slovakia are German. So, and then you've got the other day, I think it happened a couple times. I've been on the phone with vendors in Germany, Slovakia and Mexico. They're talking two different languages. I can barely speak English, and I'm trying to translate and asking Dalton and everybody else for help. I'm like, but. So there's they put a little more hype on the commands. And yes, I don't want the dog or the general public knowing some of the command, the bark command or the apprehension command or the release command. But other than that, if somebody's being apprehended and starts yelling for the dog to let go, they're not going to pay attention.
No.
So
No. No, I've seen that before.
And we've even seen where they'll throw tennis balls, and that's kind of what we call proofing we do, especially with Randy Hare's system is, it's not about the toy, it's about the source, and then the fun, happens there at the source. So, because how many times do you go into somebody's house and, they're a tennis, they play tennis.
Oh, yeah.
And then you look like a fool in front of the sheriff, dog's over there chewing on a ball, and you're like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
And it always happens when the brass is around.
That's right.
Yeah.
Never fails.
No.
Well, man, do you have anybody else you want to thank or anything else you need to hit on, man?
Not that I
the
can
floor
think
is
of.
yours.
Like I said, the main people that I wanted to make sure I, got to thank or shout out to was the chief, Tabor. Like I said, he's done more for me. I mean, heck, he's given us, a cruiser that was out of service to use as a spare to get the dogs used to the lights and sirens.
Yeah.
Sheriff Ford giving up his car like he did, for Jeremy, and then, just the people that have helped me along the way. We've talked about, Gene and Randy and Joel and, Craig and Corey and just, all the guys from, Georgia and Indiana. I don't want to leave anybody out, but I'm sure I did.
Yeah,
but, And the big one I forgot, my dad.
Yeah.
My dad's been, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. So, literally, and his support, you just couldn't forget him.
Oh, it's awesome seeing when you see your dad down here. That's because it seems like he's always around, during these seminars and stuff. And
I think he's been to every one of them.
Yeah.
And kind of like the guys, the camaraderie with this group that comes. I mean, they all brag about it, and because I always tell them, I'm like, it's not my seminar, it's your seminar.
Yeah.
And but like Jacob Jump, from up in Indiana, Jacob and Joel, they tease my dad and give him a hard time, which is cool because I can't. So I enjoy, it means a lot to me how they treat him. And, But yeah, he's been as far as I can remember, he's been down here every year, unless he had a medical issue several years back. But
yeah,
support
from your parents is hard to beat.
Yeah, and again, my mom's been gone for over 20 years now, but of course she was a big influence on. She loved animals. If it had a heartbeat, she tried to save it. I can't tell you how many times my dad come home, ticked off because there's another dog in the yard, or one that sticks out, and I'll leave it at that. I guess where my love of animals come from was, I remember it was like a sparrow or a bird had fallen out of a tree, and I remember my mom had it in a Easter basket and was feeding it hamburger with a pair of tweezers. And like I said, if it had a heartbeat, she tried to save it. So that's kind of where it come from. But thinking, my dad and David Hall and Craig that kind of got me right with God and stuff. Dalton and Casey were both at my baptism. I got baptized back in November. So
it's awesome.
I guess the most important was thank God, and thank you guys for what you do.
That's first and foremost. That's probably the thing we should start off with. We dropped the ball there too much, but that's an awesome story.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're on that path with your faith and stuff, and
that's
very
huge.
Very glad to hear that.
That's huge.
It's a big inspiration for people.
Yeah, and from us, we appreciate you. You've always been a huge supporter of not only our department, but Travis and myself and Jake, and I mean, all the guys think the world of you. So
I think a lot of you guys, like I said, I've worked with a lot of departments, but man, you guys are some top-notch professionals and go-getters. Like I said, between Jake and Trevor, I mean they they live for it. And,
they set the bar for guys to come, and
yeah.
we're glad we still got them around to learn from and to work with.
Yep.
Even though we give them a hard time, we probably won't tell that to their face.
No,
but
I won't ever tell.
Trevor's like our stepbrother over there, so
yeah, he's like our little stepchild.
yeah.
I think a lot of both,
They're
and
good
now
dudes.
Jeremy,
Yeah, Jeremy's a good one too.
and like you said, we're looking forward to Adam.
Yeah, Adam's going to be solid.
I think he's kind of a breath of fresh air that's really going to kick the program back into high
do.
gear.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and then Jeremy getting his cruiser finally.
Yeah,
So.
just to have those dogs on the road, we'll have 3 active dogs, and
Good times ahead.
watch out.
Watch out.
Watch out.
Yeah,
suspects.
run the speed limit.
All right. Once again, we thank Jason for having us out to his place and letting us put this on. We're so glad we could get him on here.
Yep.
We go ahead and apologize for the lapse in episodes over the last few weeks. Life just caught up to us, and it happens. We'll try to get back on track and keep this rolling. So far, we've enjoyed it, and we've had some good experiences.
Yep.
You got anything else you want to throw out?
I don't. Appreciate everybody. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you don't care. That would make it.
Yeah. Get on the YouTube channel, check out the videos. You can keep up with us on Facebook as usual. Thanks to Jason, On Point K9 Academy, and Alpha Pet Boarding, and the Sullivan Construction Group. And as soon as we can, we'll get the next episode out to you. You guys tune in, Facebook, YouTube, hit those like buttons, subscribe buttons, whatever it is. And we'll catch you guys later. We appreciate it.